to neighbors and friends. Our guest today is Mark Stevenson. And would you tell us, Mark, where you grew up, some of your early experiences?
Well, I'm born in Sioux City, grew up in eastern Iowa. Early experiences. I, I pretty much spent all of my youth in Iowa and then um, moved to California when I graduated from college and lived out there for 6 or 7 years.
And you were out there just after the shooting of Harvey Milk and
Right.
Moscone?
I moved there a month after the assassinations and um, was there for the trials and the riots after the announcement of the verdict, and um, also for the beginning of the AIDS crisis and the panic and the fear that went along with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Well, I hope most of the people in the audience have seen the movie Milk. And there's a documentary available at both the Iowa City Library and the Coralville Library, and probably many other libraries. A documentary about Harvey Milk.
I've seen the documentary, and I think I actually liked it better in some ways. Whenever they fictionalize things, it kind of homogenizes it or something more.
Right.
But
But the movie, I was interested to see the part of the young kid from, I think, Wisconsin, who had, not being welcome at home, gone out to California.
mm-hmm.
It was Cleve Jones, who
Mm-hmm.
later did the AIDS quilt,
Right,
or started that project.
right. Well, I remember a lot of the reason I moved to California was because San Francisco seemed like an oasis for gay and lesbians, a place where um, you could do whatever you wanted to and have a good life. And um, it was the age of disco.
Yeah.
And I remember a song by the Village People called "Go West," and it sounds funny now, but the words, they were talking about, get out of where you are and go west. It's better out here,
Well, there were so many people who were actually kicked out of their homes
Mm-hmm.
by parents who were uh, misinformed,
Mm-hmm.
miseducated,
Mm-hmm.
and so in many respects, gay youth and the gays and lesbians had to make their own family.
Mm-hmm. Well, I found that over the years that family is not something that's given you as much as it's created by bonds that you make and
Right.
um,
Even,
commitments and
even within what you would call birth families, there are closer bonds with some than with others
mm-hmm.
because of um, interest in political interests or other social issues. Just sometimes you're closer to one brother than another,
Mm-hmm.
or one sister than another. And you have a family, you have birth family.
Right. I have two brothers and two sisters. Um, One of my sisters is my twin, and so we grew up together and had parallel lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could guess each other's thoughts and to some extent.
Well, somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so, um, what what comments would you have about the reaction to the tragic shooting of Harvey Milk and the trial? I know in the
I remember when it happened, just total shock that anything like that could happen. And even after all the other political assassinations we'd had before that. But what I remember most is the verdict from the trial that this man had shot and killed 2 people and got off with manslaughter, and I think his maximum term would have been 7 years, and they gave him 5, and he was out in 2, and it just seemed infuriating. I mean, ridiculous. That our court system could do that. And it was called the Twinkie defense. I don't know if you remember that, but the defense was based on the idea that Dan White had eaten so much junk food that he wasn't in his right mind. And they did it.
But it's obviously premeditated, because I presume the movie was based on truth, that he crawled in a window
that's true, yeah.
with his gun, and he insisted on meeting first the mayor and then Harvey in his office, and shot them one after the other. Hardly an accidental shooting.
No. And I don't know how you define manslaughter, but
No. It's similar to what happened in southern Iowa a few years ago, when that one farmer shot in the back a neighboring farmer over an argument over who could water their cattle with the water available. It shot him in the back, hooked him up to his tractor, drug him around a field, and dumped him in an old abandoned well, and threw bales of straw or hay on top of him. And he got off with just a few years.
because
I would hate to live in the town where that vicious man lives.
I would too.
Yeah. So the justice system can be very weird. Very weird. And the people in San Francisco who had gone there seeking to make families for themselves because they weren't welcome at home, in their own community, in the churches that many of them had grown up in. You go to San Francisco to make a family for yourself, and then your leader is shot, and I can only imagine the tragedy.
Well, I remember the big difference between living here and there, I mean, besides the fact that it's a big city, is that it's really a gay ghetto. I mean, I could have a gay dentist and a gay doctor and a gay therapist and gay friends and gay restaurants, and so it was nice but unreal. Kind of went too far the other way. There wasn't enough diversity, almost. And at that point, all the men were wearing mustaches and jeans, and they all looked alike. And so, but I think that was necessary for people to feel good about themselves, to have somewhere they could go where they could have their own identity and feel stronger in a group. And people who had been put down their whole lives, and finally they were somewhere where they could be themselves.
Right. And here now, several decades later, here in Iowa City, we have a gay-straight alliance, both on the student level and on the faculty and staff level. The medical students have a gay group. The law students have a gay group they call Outlaws. Because they're out.
Yeah.
And we hope to have some of them on someday.
Now, do you have a group here in the senior center?
A gay and lesbian group here, no. But there are gays and lesbians that that live in the ecumenical center, and there are some that come to lunch here at the senior center, but there's no gay and lesbian group.
Well, there's a hurdle for you.
But the interesting thing, as you ask that, when I was first starting this program, I was approaching it from the academic level
Mhm.
to discuss the laws and the regulations that are used against us.
Mhm.
And the people in the senior center TV studio group said, Elsie, that's well and good, but we want to see some gay men on there. And so,
Really?
so they were the one, and then they started to come forward with, well, I have a cousin. I'll
Huh.
give you his phone number.
Uh-huh.
And nearly everyone, as I mentioned in my first program, nearly everyone has a gay or lesbian family member if they just seek it out.
Mhm.
It could be a grandparent who, myself,
Mhm.
I'm a grandparent, a great-grandparent. And when I talk about having children, most people think I'm straight. I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of those boundaries have changed. I mean, since gays and lesbians are having children, more and more, you don't assume that someone's straight because they have children.
And we had a forum down here at the what would be the lunchroom or the main room in the senior center.
Mm-hmm.
We had a forum with some people from Des Moines, from One Iowa, a gay and lesbian group that has an office in Des Moines,
Mm-hmm.
but they work statewide, and they're working with the couples that want to have marriage, not gay marriage, but marriage,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no such thing as gay marriage and straight marriage. It's the people that are different,
Mm-hmm.
but the protections, duties, rights, and responsibilities ought to be the same.
I agree with that. Yeah. A lot of that problems with that came up with AIDS and people sick and their partners couldn't even visit them
Right.
or have any rights to their estates or to death and dying issues. And
Hmm.
so
It's
a lot of things have changed,
right.
thankfully, in my lifetime. Probably in yours too.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I lived in Iowa City in 1975 the first time, and back then it was a very kind of secretive life, but there was a wonderful disco bar here
Mhm.
that everybody went to. I mean, all kinds of people, and it was just fun. Lots of having a good time together.
Mhm.
And there were I think at least two gay and Midwest gay and lesbian pride conferences here at the campus,
Hmm.
which I was living in Cedar Falls at the time, and I came down for both of them, and that was wonderful because they had a whole weekend conferences with people from all over the country. This would have been like maybe 74 or 75.
Wow.
To educate people, and what an eye-opener to
Yeah.
find out there were people all over the Midwest who were gay and lesbian,
Mhm.
and yeah, so
So the resource group I was talking about is called One Iowa, and it's at www.oneiowa.org, and they are busy advocating marriage equality,
mm-hmm.
and were instrumental in holding that forum here at the senior center. And they had their lawyer who had taken the case to court. They had a couple of the women that had wanted to have their marriage be official.
Mm-hmm.
We have a union together. They have children they're raising together. But they want to secure the rights that one parent would have in case the other is sick. Or, worst of all, if one dies. And they want the same rights that straight spouses have. And so they were on, and there was a gentleman whose daughter is a lesbian. And he spoke about the felt need that that daughter have the same rights and privileges with her partner as his straight children do.
Mm-hmm.
And how it hurts, just plainly hurts, that the lesbian daughter can't have those legal rights.
And isn't there's a movement in Iowa to change the Iowa Constitution, isn't it?
Yes, there
to
is.
ban gay marriage.
Yes, there is.
So,
And
a lot of states have already done that. So,
and the preamble to the Iowa Constitution starts off by saying, believe in equal rights for every citizen.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't say the straight ones are okay, but the others got to stand over here. No, it just. And Iowa was one of the first states to have women lawyers. One of the first states to okay interracial marriages, which at one time people could get dragged through the streets for that.
Mm-hmm.
An offense to the sensitivities of the dominant society.
Mm-hmm.
And at any rate, high time Iowa did another first. Of course, California did it. I had to take it back. We'll see what happens in their court system. I think it's in the Constitution. It's in the United States Constitution, equality.
Well, I think we're just wrapping up an 8-year period of fear mongering, and I think that's why that proposition failed, or did it, whatever it did.
Right.
was bad, whatever it did, passed or failed, because they instill fear in people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I wanted to do this interview, was that I don't know if there's anybody who's representational, gay or lesbian, just human. So
Right.
At first I thought, well, I don't have anything to say. And then I thought, well, I'm a human being, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're human beings, and not that much different from our brothers and sisters. Not that much different at all. See us in a lineup, you probably couldn't guess who's who. I go to conferences, and people send me to the parents' room, and I laugh and I say I am a parent, but they're straight, I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't cut my hair short enough. I don't wear a necktie. What don't I do right to look like a lesbian?
Well, maybe part of it's generational. Like, people
Yeah.
think that you don't meet a lot of senior
No.
lesbians who are as out as you are, so.
I mentioned the Iowa State group of One Iowa, and there locally there's a group called queerconnections.org. They have a yearly magazine with a list of friendly resources,
Mhm.
friendly churches, friendly shops, places to shop, and always a few articles about some of the local people.
And they also sponsor, I think it's once a month, talks on different topics.
Right.
So it's a good organization.
They hold forums.
Yeah, forums.
In February, they're going to have, I think they're going to show that documentary you were speaking about earlier. And have more papers and I know what to do with here. And I try to mark everything I want to refer to. They're going to have, as Iowa goes, so goes the nation. Barnum v. Bryan and its impact on marriage rights for same-sex couples. They're going to have a columnist by the name of Dan Savage. I'll have to look him up. They're having a dinner at, and this is February 26th and 27th. So if we go to that, they have a blog, blogs.law.iowa.edu.grj symposium / Well, we'll get that on the caption here. And I thought I had the date of the
Well, I want to come and interview you and find out what you're all about, your life story. When did you decide you were a lesbian?
Well, as soon as I could stand up and look around.
Really?
As soon as, yeah.
And so for years you suppressed it?
Right. I grow up a little town, Iowa. How do you find anybody to date? I discovered statistically that 1 out of every 10 of the girls in my class, or certainly in the high school in general, must have been a lesbian. But nobody talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Although, even in my little town, that many years ago, and at least 8 years older than myself, there was a lesbian couple, graduated out of high school, went and rented a farm, and farmed together for as long as they lived.
Really?
And
What town was that? What?
Sheffield, Iowa.
You said that was.
It's up by south of Mason City,
Wow, that's
south of Albert Lee, and north of Des Moines.
be an interesting article to write about
Right.
them.
Right, and they were perfectly welcome in town. The one of them, like so many farm wives, has a cash income job in town, clerking or being a nurse or being a teacher or something. So there'll be a steady cash income because farm income is so seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so welcome in the community. One of them was a clerk in one of the grocery stores. And I remember when it was harvest time, where farmers would come together to get in the harvest the oats or put up the straw or the hay. I remember one time they were at our farm, and I was this shy little girl just looking at that. But tell me some more about you. We have some of your artwork that we'll edit in. Tell me about your artwork.
Well, I've been doing art for as long as I remember, and I have some work
You
up
could-
right now in town at the Motley Cow Cafe. I brought only one of my own paintings, and these other ones are just kind of a joke.
Okay.
This was a portrait of me when I was 30 years old, when I was living in San Francisco, and but it's important to me because it was painted by a friend of mine who's gone now, who he and his lover befriended me, and they were the ones that rented a house in Greece every year, and I went and stayed with them one year in Greece, and had a great time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But this is me full of optimism. And, and this is a little portrait that my friend Pat Edwards did here in town, and my dad says it looks like I have cancer. But, you know, I was just wanted to give you an idea of like how other people see me or saw me. And then this painting is part of a series I've been working on of spray paintings the last year, and this is kind of not a self-portrait, but kind of how I see things. And I brought along a photograph of myself and my twin sister when we were very small in a very busy environment. And I wonder if it didn't affect how I see things. I mean, I see the world as a lot of clutter and chaos, but then there's light shining through somehow.
Light
There's
shining through.
darkness and there's hope.
See, now, what does this represent to you?
Somehow a filter,
A filter.
some kind of
See,
something that things go through.
I thought it was honeycomb.
Well, look, yeah, you could store
But-
honey in there.
But a filter, because everybody sees things through their own filter.
I think so, and
Right.
the hard part is to keep focused on the light that's out there, the positive, and the all this other stuff becomes distractions, and
Focus on the light. Now that would make a wonderful motto to put above my door.
well, there you go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But,
I was trained as an artist. I went to UNI, and then now I have a store here. I think I told you. I have a little shop where I sell used things and art and used art and
Yeah.
visuals, objects. So,
uh-huh. That's great.
yeah.
So that's an important part of life to keep some art in our life.
I think so, and I tend to like artists better than than most other people. So, I mean, anybody who's in any of the arts, you know, they're interested in something that isn't, you know, a lot of people would say isn't necessary, you know, but it's important.
It's
So,
creativity and right, it adds to life.
Yeah.
It adds to life.
Yeah.
It's above the mundane.
Yeah.
We all have to eat and sleep, but we need some beauty in our life.
Right.
Before you go, Mark, what's the name of the store you have?
It's called Decorum, and it's on Market Street, not far from John's Grocery.
I see.
And we're open Thursday through Sunday. I say we because there's two of us. My friend Patty rents the back part, and she sells other things
Okay.
than I do.
Well, we'll look that up on Market.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you, Mark, for joining us here.
Well, thank you.